Well, guys, it was fun while it lasted, but the Crown of Corruption is getting a nerf. Before the nerf happens, this is how the Crown of Corruption worked. It boosted your speed, which is the main thing people cared about. It also boosted your damage, which made Lazarius a perfect candidate for this, but it boosted it by, in my case, 1.13%. So, sorry, 13%, which was times 1.13. So if I did this, it would be 441 times 1.13, which is this 498 number right there. Now, that is before I even get into a fight. It's also boosting the speed after my speed aura. So essentially, she would have been 550 speed in a battle in Stone Skin, which was beyond crazy, and it deserves the nerf that it got. However, the change that's happening, I don't know if this is the best way to go about compensation. They're refunding the cost of removing the relic, but take this into consideration. If you previously had, say, a hallowed hilt on your Shu-Zhen and you put on the Crown of Corruption, that costed you, almost 1,300 Stardust to remove the one mythical, to put the new mythical on, and now to remove the Crown of Corruption. Maybe you leave it on there, maybe you don't. But also, if you're like me and you leveled it up, I really think that you should be able to crunch it down. I should get the resources back if I wanted to take this down. I think just not offering that as a possibility is pretty unfortunate because these are not cheap. And Starstone is not easy to come by, and getting multiple rank 4 pieces to take this to 15 is also not very easy to come by. So I do wish they would give that as an option, but currently it's not the case. So are you even going to consider crunching it? Would you if you could? Let's talk about the changes and why they came to this conclusion. Following a review of recent usage data and players' feedback, I'm hoping it's because players just had a hard time with it and not the usage data in the sense of Krakens and whales who have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in energy farming speed gear are quitting the game and not spending. So we're going to nerf this relic. But that may be what it was because it literally invalidated years of farming just with this one relic. Either way, they've determined that the Crown of Corruption provides excessive speed boost, which was said from day one. Granted, they did move fast, so I'm not going to harp on that too much, making it too overpowered in the current state of the game. To improve game balance and player experience, especially when facing opponents equipped with the Crown of Corruption relic, it'll be rebalanced and aligned with other relics of the same rarity regarding the speed increase in the next update. Below, you can see how the rebalance of the Crown of Corruption will look. So now it's going to be speed first, crit damage, then HP. So 24 speed, 21% crit damage, and that is going to be exactly on par with the Hallowed Hilt, which is good. This is still the Crown of Corruption is still the best speed relic, other than Hallowed Hilt, but the use cases are going to be a bit different. So now, if you're over 50% HP, you deal plus 5%, scaling up to 25% total. For me, at 15, it'd be 17.5% more damage and receive 13%, in my case, less damage. While you have less than 50% HP, you deal 25% less damage and receive 15% more damage, which this part I don't like too much. If there are some gemstones to kind of balance that out, be cool. Of course, this does not scale. So 25% less damage and receiving more damage is a pretty big gamble, but it's now basically gone from a speed booster exclusive relic to now a damage dealer relic. This is a relic you're going to want to put on your Embrees. Embrees could be an amazing option for this. Sigfriend may not even be a terrible option for this. Dealing more damage, 17.5% more damage, and receiving less damage, but that's not such a big deal. There are some champions this could be very nice for. Nice. It actually could be very nice for Nice. But then again, everything's nice for Nice because he's ridiculous and an insane champion. So I guess saying you put something on him really doesn't make any difference. But ultimately, you are going to get a refund of 640 Starstones a few days after the release. But I guess my ultimate point is, one, I'm very thankful they did this, even though they said before that they don't plan to nerf or buff any relics in the near future, that they decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on nerfing the Crown of Corruption. It was not good for the game. It was said that since the beginning. But what I would really like Plarium to do is also, actually more importantly, come in here and start buffing some of these relics that are just trash. Having some food relics is fine, but arguably most of the relics being food is not fun. Okay, so we have the Gilded Pinion. Nobody's really using this, are they? That could easily use a buff. Now, these are event-specific ones, so maybe don't buff these because they're not going to be around for very long. But these ones, Essence Quencher, I mean, very small situations could you use that. These ones are a little bit weird. These two both are very upsetting when you pull them from Live Arena. Very, very unfortunate. Some of these are just very weird, specific conditions that are very difficult to hit. Some of these mythical ones could actually probably use a buff as well, specifically this one, where has a chance of placing fatigue. This one's good. This one's cool. This is basically a current version of the Crown of Corruption, a little bit different and more specific. But this one, chance of placing fatigue. Why would I want that? I don't want that. Nobody wants that. If you want that, come on. You're lying to yourself. You're convincing yourself you do because you pulled it. I'm sorry for you, but hopefully nobody pulls that. These two, these are both very conditional and difficult to use, but ultimately, I am glad they are nerfing this one. I do wish they would rebalance some of them, but probably not going to happen. They don't rebalance champions that frequently, and we have far more champions than relics that need to be rebalanced. Now, the Crown of Corruption wasn't the only thing being changed. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, maybe give some other ideas possibly, but you guys can probably just leave some comments down below. Yeah, just do that. Just leave some comments down below on who you would put the Crown of Corruption on now if you had it versus before. I do really wish they gave back more than 640 Starstone. Honestly, it should be double. Starstone, let's be honest, is not a resource that is that valuable, but it's a resource that we have none of. Like, they're not giving me 20 sacred shards. It's not giving me an unfair advantage. They're giving me a little bit more Starstone that they are already so stingy with to begin with. So doubling that so I can actually remove a relic from a different champion would be pretty sweet. But that's probably not going to happen. Either way, let's look at another change they have. They have a Stormcaller buff fix, so another mythical relic being changed, possibly. We've noticed incorrect behavior of Stormcall, buff from Stormcaller relic, that places stun on enemies. Now, stun from Stormcaller, buff cannot be resisted and does not trigger polymorph. That is not the way it should work, as it damages the overall game balance. We will fix it in the nearest release. After update 10.6, we expect stun placed by Stormcaller to work like a regular stun debuff. That means it can be reflected by Wand of Submission, can't be applied due to Hand of Uncreation relic effect, and can trigger polymorph. It can, what? That's a bigger change than Crown of Corruption. Can it be resisted? That makes it just go from being top tier on Marius to not nearly as good. I don't know if it can be resisted, but they're saying act like a regular stun. And I feel like they're kind of beating around the bush there. Like, oh, it acts like a regular stun. We're not going to mention the can't be resisted thing. Let's see. Does it specifically say can't be resisted? Each Stormcall stack increases damage dealt by a champion by 5%. Champion can have maximum of 5. Okay, this stun cannot be resisted. Okay, cool. It says cannot be resisted, so I'm hoping that text does not change. That's definitely not the normal stun situation, but it does specifically say it. It doesn't say the other stuff, so that's okay. However, I mean, Wand of Submission reflecting it back, that's not so fun. That takes Stormcaller was pretty crazy before, so it's still going to be really good now. It's still going to be very, very good on Marius, but it's going to be the polymorph Wand of Submission. You're going to be more hesitant to actually use it now. Which, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I guess it's just a thing. I'm glad that it's not getting the resisted removed. Now, Stormcaller buff cannot be resisted and does not trigger polymorph. Okay, this is not the way it should work. I mean, it doesn't say anything about the can't be resisted, so that should still be good. Nobody wants to build Marius with so much stun, or sorry, so much accuracy that he gets to land the stun on everybody all the time. He can land the stun. The Wand of Submission and polymorph fix may be fine, but interesting. Now up towards the top, we have probably a rewording to the new fusion. As you most likely know, the Throat Ripper will join the game soon. When it happens, Packmaster skills description will now include him, which is good. By the way, in August, you'll have an opportunity to fuse not only the dog, but also get his master. That's pretty cool. And also the Throat Ripper's soul from another activity to receive the most out of this pair. That's awesome. So we get the Packmaster potentially, probably in a champion training, Deck of Fate, spend your resources, get this champion type event. Who knows what it's going to be? So save your resources. You will also get his soul, which is pretty cool. So look forward to some videos coming out about Packmaster plus the new dog. And then, of course, we have personal rewards coming up. We have some gemstones that were being shown in the Milestones of Hard Faction Wars, which is a UI bug that will be changed. Live Arena points not resetting. Not a big deal. They resets a few days after, a few hours after. That's fine. And the next CVC is going to be personal rewards. So ultimately, the biggest news is some relic changes. Actually, both relics are being nerfed. This is nerfed too. This actually has a pretty decent sized nerf as well. Stormcaller change. So my thumbnail artist made a thumbnail for the nerf on the Crown of Corruption, but I may have to add both relics to the nerf list because that is pretty interesting. Getting polymorphed on Marius is never fun, and now you have a higher chance to get polymorphed or stunned. That's not cool. But now I have a decision to make. Who do I throw on the brand new Crown of Corruption? An extra, is it 18 speed? I don't know what it's going to be. An extra 18 speed, extra chunk of crit damage could actually allow me to put it on Embreeze, because Embreeze is a champion who gets benefit, of course, from crit damage. Gets benefit, of course, from HP, which is not going to matter just yet. Would benefit from the speed as well. Could make him closer to 300 plus speed, which would be pretty sweet. I could get him going faster than my Sigfriend. And then would have the HP bonus at the end level as well, which would be better than this. He'd be doing more damage above 50% HP, take more below it, which ultimately is not a massive deal since we do have this HP swap in the second form. So he could be the champion for it, and is already a crazy champion to begin with. And let's be honest, the Crown of Corruption on his head would, imaginatively, of course, because you can't actually see it, but if you imagined it, it would look pretty cool, right? But will I keep it on my fastest champion for a 24 speed boost? Sorry, 18 speed boost. I mean, Shu-Zhen goes from being 441 to, I don't know if it's actually 18, to 460. She's slower than my fastest champion. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. This definitely changes the strategy. Speed was a part of my strategy, but now it's possibly not going to be as much. But it's not really that big of a deal. It's okay. I'll definitely pivot and maybe throw it on Embreeze. If I could get a 4-star soul or a 5-star soul on him, he'd be a monster. He was a champion I was already considering putting the Crown of Corruption on with the huge speed boost. But maybe now I'm more incentivized to do it. I'm hoping the crit damage boost is pretty good. Actually, no. Well, we know what it is, right? It's going to be 21% crit damage, which is less than this, right? What relic has crit damage in the second slot? I don't even know. 21% crit damage, though, is going to be not bad. So either way, he's going to boost his damage by 17% to begin with, so it'll be pretty cool. But either way, guys, thank y'all very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. The Crown of Corruption changes, let me know what you think. I'm happy they moved forward and made this choice and made this change so quick. Thankfully, it wasn't a resource players had to invest a bunch of time and money into getting. Obviously, a lot of players were trying their best to forge as many Crowns of Corruption as they could, but it's much better they made this change now versus later on. Now, players like Crypto, well, actually, the only player, Crypto, may be a little bit off-put because he got the most OP relic and is now basically spent all that to not have the huge boost, which he was probably going to spend that either way, so he probably doesn't care. Either way, guys, thank y'all very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.